The following night, Daniel felt the familiar wiggle in his tummy as he woke in the darkness of his own bedroom. He felt strangely reassured to find himself floating above his own bed, with both Gorth and Charlotte waiting patiently for him. "Before you ask," said Gorth, "I don't know." "Me neither," said Charlotte, "and I don't even know what he didn't want you to know about that I don't know about and neither of us can ask about." "Huh, easy for you to say," said Gorth, throwing an angry glance in Charlotte's direction. "Anyway, why are you here? I have as much right to be here as you do." "No, you don't. You're dead." "Gorth? Well, let's face it. I mean, she is. She's not going to get asked out by many people, is she? Not unless they want to take her to the zombie ball." "Gorth, will you stop being so rude to Charlotte? She's here to help, and she's a friend of mine." "Well, all right, but just don't blame me when she messes something up." "I won't mess anything up." Charlotte was indignantly holding her arms across her body. "Good, don't." "Custard, yes, your misogynisticness. Why are we in Derby?" "A good question." And that was all the computer said. "I know." Charlotte looked like she was going to put her hand up. No, you don't. You're just a girl." Gorth looked like he was going to ignore her forever. "Maybe, but I do know why we're here. I also know why everything's in black and white." "If you don't mind, I'd rather hear it from the ship's computer. Custard, why are we here?" Gorth held his sleeve open for them all to listen to the answer. "Nope, no idea," said Custard. "There you are, you see. Now, what do you mean, no idea?" "What, stumped," said Custard. "Stuck, bamboozled, if you like. And as for this black and white, flitting in and out business, no idea what's going on there." "I know," said Charlotte, "if you would like me to tell you." No, I wouldn't." "Daniel, why are we here? What's going on?" "I'm with Custard. No idea." Daniel nodded towards Charlotte. "But I know someone who does." "Oh, not you as well," Gorth groaned. "All right, Charlotte, why are we here, and why is Derby in black and white?" "Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Siegfried, or John as you now call him, the miracle worker, found something in Smyrna in Turkey, right? He found the thing that you were looking for." "The Eye of the Storm," said Custard. "Correct, the Eye of the Storm." "Yeah, we all know that. Pat told us that." "My point is, the people you were looking for were all in Smyrna. That's the link between Pat and somehow Daniel and somehow Daniel's dad. But the Eye of the Storm, that must be here. That must be here in Derby. That's why all this is happening. And the only people the Eye of the Storm is going to let close to it are Daniel and his family." "What do you mean, my family? Why is my family involved?" "Because something is tracking your dad." "That is correct. Your father is in a taxi heading south, and something not from this planet is right behind him. We have to help." Daniel floated up and out of the room. "Custard, can you see exactly where he is?" "Yes, Daniel, I can. His taxi's not that far from here, but it's moving too fast. We'll never catch up with him. But he's heading for the airport." "How do you know that?" said Gorth. "Well, I saw the flight ticket your father was holding, and he has a suitcase, and he said to East Midlands Airport to the taxi driver." "Oh," said Gorth, "it's probably the airport then." "But look, if you're sure," Gorth ignored the snort that Charlotte made. "Right then," said Gorth, not looking at Charlotte. "This is the new plan. We get out of here, we follow that taxi, and we get to East Midlands Airport. Right?" Right, said everybody. "Okay," said Gorth. "So how do we do that?" "I've put a tracking beacon on the taxi," said Custard. "I've been monitoring the subspace channels to see who it is who's following your dad. Daniel, I think if I put an open scan on all the deep space beacons, I can look for any unusual traffic. Plus, I know that any employee of Shirley, any of her minions, they leave a particular residue behind them when they move through space. They leave a ripple, if you like, in the continuum." "A ripple?" said Gorth. "Like a chocolate bar?" No, you idiot, said Charlotte. Like time bending, like it's suddenly going black and white and us seeing back into the 1700s and the 1800s. Not a chocolate bar. Oh. This is imagery I hacked from number 18's video doorbell. Have a look at this. A blue light shone out from one of Gauth's sleeves onto the wall of the house opposite. The scene it illuminated was of two black and white creatures breaking into a series of cars. Blimey, said Daniel, Glenys won't like that. It looked as the creatures tried the door handles of her tiny Citroen. Glenys was their neighbour to the right and always bought him fabulous birthday presents. Oh no, said Gauth. I know them. They pretend to be bombastic badger warriors, but they're not. They had the fur implanted on Ranholm 7. The rest is all just tattoos, gel, and fake hair. They are pretending to be bombastic badger warriors? Custard was appalled. That is simply outrageous. They were aping the most ferocious warriors in the galaxy, piggybacking on the reputation of others. So if they're not bombastic warriors, they're not badgers, who are they? They work for her. That one on the left is her chief lieutenant. His name is Pomfrey. The one on the right is his sidekick. He's called Chutney. What? Daniel laughed. He'd been expecting something worse than that. His dad was being followed by somebody called Chutney who was pretending to be a badger. I mean, how bad could that be? They call him Chutney, but his real name is Colin. I know him. I know both of them. They were with me on the serial recidivists wing in St. Rumbelow's School for the Decidedly Naughty. His eyes were downcast. Bad lads, the pair of them. They pinch my nuts. What? Half a bag of hazelnuts. The only present I had all the time I was there. It came with a squirrel, you know. And these two work for Shirley. Oh yeah. When they pull a job off, you know, they always leave their calling cards just to prove it was them. And what is their calling card? It is this, young Daniel. Again, the beam of light shone from the sleeve of Gauth's jacket, only this time it portrays the stylized picture of a cone with chips and a battered cob on the top. That's their underworld name, the Fish and Chips Hitmen, the Battered Avengers, the Cod of Death with the Chips of Destiny. What? When we were in St. Rumbelow's home for the decidedly naughty, if the physical beatings didn't work, if the pain wasn't getting through to people, they made you do something far, far worse. French grammar lessons. Turns out Colin is French for cod, and Pomfrey sounds just like pommes frites, which apparently are chips. That is what people called them then when they were just unknown criminals. Fish and chips. I'm just sorry, Daniel, that they're here on your planet because of me. I need some payback. They stole my trousers in biology class. Gauth looked a little embarrassed as Charlotte giggled. Ignoring all of this, said Charlotte, I think the real point is that we have to get to Daniel's dad. He apparently is being chased by a fried snack that looks like a badger. Or did I hear that wrong? She arched an eyebrow, daring them to contradict her. Right then, said Gauth. East Midlands Airport it is. Come on, Daniel, he whispered, trying to nudge him. Let's get there before the girl. They were all panting a little bit by the time they arrived at East Midlands Airport, until Custard pointed out to them that none of them actually needed to breathe in this continuum, at which point they all began to feel a little bit better, except Charlotte. There's my dad, look. Daniel pointed him out. He was over at a counter, waving his passport. What's he doing? He's going to America. Got a very important business meeting there. No, he isn't. They watched as Daniel's dad walked to the airline check-in desk and handed over his passport. There was a moment's consternation before it was handed back to him, followed by much head shaking. What's wrong? Gauth was floating above Daniel's dad, watching with interest. Oh no, Daniel groaned. No Esther. His dad had done it again. As he got closer, he saw the check-in staff point to a computer in the departure hall. Daniel's dad looked frantic. Look, I have to be on that flight. Daniel could tell his dad was trying to remain calm, but it was not going well. He recognised that look on his face as well, the haunted, oh my God, I did it again look, or as his mum called it, the where did you leave your trousers this time look. I'm very sorry, sir. No ESTA form, no flight. You should have done this before you got here. I know. Look, what can I do? There is a computer. She was pointing to the gap in the wall over there. You can apply for your ESTA visa online. Can I? Oh, thank you. The computer only gave paid access to the internet. Daniel's dad was fumbling in his pocket for change and came up with exactly what he didn't need. He needed pound coins, and he needed lots of them. As the group watched in silence, he tried first Costa Coffee, then Starbucks, then W.H. Smith's. After 10 minutes he had enough and walked back to the computer just in time to see an elderly gentleman sit down in front of the terminal and slowly put a pound coin in. It was alright, he had time as long as this old chap was quick. Exactly 17 minutes later, however, and the gentleman was still checking football results. The twitch above Daniel's dad's right eye had now grown to alarming proportions. Are you going to be much longer? Daniel's dad was hopping from one foot to another, a bit like Gorth welcoming somebody on his planet, or a drama teacher that needed the loo. I'm just waiting to get the forest result. They lost! Daniel's dad was snapping now. It was a guess, he knew, but it was a fairly good guess. Well, this is actually very important. The old man waved his Pools coupon. So is this. Daniel's dad waved his unfilled-in visa application form. Can I please just use the computer? Oh, all right then, said the old man. I've got the results in my newspaper anyway. What? Daniel's dad shook his head in disbelievingly. He sat down, still spluttering slightly. First he had to find the right website. Then he had to log in. Then he had to put in his flight details. Then where he was staying. Then his passport details. Then a contact address in England and details of return travel. That was when his money ran out. Leaving his suitcase by the seat, Daniel's dad got up and ran back into Costa Coffee. He then ran into Starbucks and back into W.H. Smith's, each time wildly brandishing a £20 note. By the time he came back with some change, the old man was back, sitting on the stool, calmly typing away. Will you get away from that computer? Daniel's dad was shouting as he bodily lifted the old man off the stool. What do you think you're doing? Well, I thought you were finished, said the old man, so I thought I'd look up who Forrest to play next. They made a draw yesterday, by the way. There was an accusing glance. I don't care if they lost to Wallaby United. Get away from that computer. Never heard of Wallaby United, muttered the old man as he reluctantly stood up. They must be from the south. Daniel's dad sat back down, muttering, and began feeding coins into the machine, looking anxiously at his watch. There was still time, if only... Oh no. Please begin again, the website said. You did not save your details from the last visit. Ah! The strangled cry was one of pure frustration. Frantically typing now, Daniel's dad finally got to the point where it said, Apply. He pressed the button and began to beam as the reply came back. Approved, it said. He'd done it. There was still time to catch the flight and no one need ever know. He glanced back at the screen. Approved, it said. Your visa will be mailed immediately. Expected within 4 working days.